Alright, so in this video, I will be working out the worksheet that I handed out today. I'll be working out the evens. So let's go ahead and get started with number 2. Okay. So number 2, the question is, which quadrant is the point -2, 3 located in? So -2, 3. Okay, so my x, so my coordinates always have an xy coordinate. And this particular one is -2, 3. So then my x is -2 and my y is 3. So that means on my x-axis, okay, and this is my y-axis, my x-axis I go over -2 and then I go up 3. And that is my first point. So the question is, what quadrant is this located in? If I remember, quadrant 1 is on my top right, quadrant 2, top left, quadrant 3, bottom left, quadrant 4, bottom right. So then that's my answer right there. That point lies in quadrant number 2. So the answer would be B. Okay, so number 2 now. So the question for number 2, which statement is true for the function whose graph is shown? So this is the function, okay? And I need to see which statement of these is true. All right, so the first statement, the domain is unrestricted. So remember that your domain is referring to your x variable. So as I look at my x-axis, all the variables that are x's, is this unrestricted? Okay, let me use red. Maybe it'll come out more. Is this unrestricted? No, this is not unrestricted because as you can see, this graph begins at x equals 0. So this graph is true for all x's as long as they're less than or equal to 0. Okay? So this is not true. Okay? So I'm going to mark that one off. Now I'm looking at B. The domain is x less than or equal to 0. As it turns out, I actually just determined that to be the fact. So yes, that is true. Okay? So let's just go over the rest just to make sure. So the range is unrestricted. So the range is referring to your y-axis. And again, this particular function begins at a y that is -2. Okay, so for this particular function, your range is all y's as long as they are less than or equal to -2. Okay, so this in fact is restricted, so that's false. The range of y is less than or equal to 0, and that would be up here. So obviously the graph begins here, so that is not a true statement. So and just like I mentioned before, this is my range for this particular function. So it is not y less than or equal to 0. It is y less than or equal to -2. So B is my correct answer. Okay. Okay, so moving on to our next problem. Okay, the slope of the line that passes through points -2, 4. Okay, so here's my -2. This is my x, and here is my y. So that's on my x-axis, -2, +4 on my y, so that's up here. So that's that point. And then my other point here is -3 on the x, +7 on the y, so it's here. So let me draw a line between those points. Okay, so that is definitely a negative slope. That's a -m. Okay, so my answer is A. Because as I read it left to right, it's negative. What is the value of y for the line that has a slope of, so here's my slope, it's a -3/2, and passes through points 3 and 5 and 7 and y. So it looks like I'm trying to find the value of y. Okay, so I'm looking for the value of y. All right, well, I have some mysterious point, which is this one right here. Okay, this is some mysterious point. All I know is that the x value is 7, but I don't know where the y is, and that's not enough information to figure out what that point is. So I'm going to use the information that I do have to help me find what this particular point could be. So let me start off with my first point, which is 3, 5. Okay, so that's 3, positive 3, and positive 5. There's my first point. And I also know my slope, which is negative 3 over 2. So I can use that to make an actual line. So negative 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then over 2, 1, 2. Okay, so just in case, so 1, 2, 3, negative 3, and then over 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a line through these points. It's a negative slope. And the question is, let me go back to my question, which states, what is the value of y? What is this value given that you have a line that has this slope, it has this particular slope, and it has this point on that line? Okay, so here's that. Here's that point, sorry. And then here's that slope of that point. So one of the ways I could do this is I can take a look at my value of x for that mysterious point, and it's 7. So I can go over here and I can find 7, and I can find out where is my y value at 7. So I go down to my line, and now I can use this to find out what the value for y is. And it looks like it goes through negative 1. So this point right here, where my x is 7, if my value is 7 for x, then it looks like my y value is going to be somewhere around negative 1. So let's check. A is negative 11? Definitely not it, because that would be way down here, and my x value would be, somewhere over here, like 14 or 15 or something. So it's definitely not negative 11. So if it's not negative 11, it can't be negative 10 either. There's negative 1. Okay, that's the only answer that makes sense given the graph that I've just drawn. So here are the points that it gave me, or here's a slope, and then here's a point that it gave me, and I used the information that it gave me to draw a line, and then I used that line to plot this point and figure out, to estimate where that mysterious y value will be. And the only one that made sense is negative 1. 10. What is the y-intercept of the line 5x minus 4y equals negative 12? So what is my y-intercept? All right, well, I want this equation to look like my traditional y equals mx plus, and then my answer, which is the one that I'm looking for, my y-intercept. This is my y-intercept. So this is the one that I'm looking for here. Okay, so let's work this out. All right, so the first thing I would do is get rid of my 5x, right? So that gets rid of this. And then my new equation is negative 4y equals negative 12 minus 5x. Divide all this by negative 4. Okay, that leaves me with, that gets rid of my 4. That gives me now y equals negative 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. And then negative 5 divided by negative 4 is 5 over 4x. Now, to make this look more like my traditional y equals mx plus b, I'm going to switch these numbers. Okay? So it would be y equals 5 over 4x plus 3. Okay? So here's my slope, here's my m, and then here is my y-intercept. Okay? So negative 3, no. It's not negative 4, 5, and it's not 5/4 either because that's my slope. It is positive 3. Okay, so something to note for this worksheet, you can actually stop at number 11. So problems 12 through 14 will not be on your quiz tomorrow, just problems 1 through 11. So I've just completed the events for this, and good luck in your studying.